friends. Welcome to Scott Fox After 9. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is the 120th episode this year.
Congratulations.
Hey, Anna, thank you.
I'm sorry I couldn't sit back. That's such a feat. Wow, that's awesome.
Every day, brand new episode of After 9. Yesterday's is getting a lot of attention. Yesterday was a different kind of episode because it was very trivial. It had nothing to do with anything except for my buddy and him trying to get himself a girl. Today we get back on track. We've got all kinds of things going on in the country and we're going to discuss those. But before we do, the reaction to yesterday's pod, Anna, was unbelievable.
It didn't matter where I went yesterday. People had something to say. They loved it. They thought the music choices were top notch and perfect, set the mood, and really painted that story. I loved it.
He did not drop by my place yesterday, but we did chat briefly.
Okay, I've been wondering.
So the number one thing that everybody's asking me, I'm going to put it all off till Friday, listener DMs. Friday, I will answer your questions about what happened this weekend.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I'm going to try and get a little more info because I feel like I don't know the whole story.
Yeah, because, you haven't mentioned a lot and I didn't want to bug you too much, so.
I will have it on listener DMs on Friday. If you have a question, you can send that in at Scott Fox on Air or at Anna_Almeida. Anna, while you're here, and I know you're not staying for the full episode, but Can I get your take on a couple of different things?
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Today is a big day because the king and the queen are here to deliver the throne speech.
Yeah.
And typically that doesn't happen. I'm also a little surprised this is coming from a left-leaning government because I was under the impression the left didn't really like the monarchy, to be honest with you. That was usually something that was more on the right. So we've brought in the king, and part of the reason for that is apparently the Prime Minister wants to assert Canada's sovereignty, and he wants the words to come from the king. Now, the king is going to read what's written for him. He's reading the government's agenda. So the government is going to write what the king reads. How come it took for this King Charles to defend Canada's sovereignty? Because so far, nothing to stand up for Canada to America. And the one opportunity he had, he invited Donald Trump to a state dinner in the UK.
Yeah.
That's not very elbows up.
Definitely not. And he's only here because Prime Minister Mark Carney invited him, hence why we're putting out the red carpet, not just because he's a king and queen. But yeah, no. Do they proofread it? Is there things in this agenda that he's going to be reading like, oh, I don't support this?
The whole point of it is supposed to be to not embarrass the king or have him say something he wouldn't normally say. But people are watching this speech very carefully to find out if he is actually going to stand up for Canada's sovereignty. And by the way, if he even needs to.
I don't think he really does, nor does it really have an impact to me. It's just show.
Anna, are we still in this fight of our lives against the Americans? The reason I ask that is because Donald Trump hasn't mentioned the 51st state in like 2.5 months.
He's done. It was just fun for him to say.
He was trolling Trudeau.
Right?
So he hasn't even mentioned the 51st state. I feel like the vast majority of the public does not feel like this is some existential crisis that we're dealing with here. And on top of all of that, Parliament's going to work for like 3.5 weeks and then be gone for 3 months for summer break.
Well, that's
Is
funny.
This really the crisis of our lifetime that we voted for?
Absolutely not. Even when Trump was saying it, I was like, this is just him trolling. It's just for fun. You know what I mean? Get people talking. I was more worried about Alberta, I got to be honest with you, than Trump, you know? So to me, it was just like a topic of conversation just to get people riled up. And that's really all it was, honestly.
Okay, I'm going to do one more clip for you, then I'll take over with what you need to know. Yesterday in the Ontario legislature, Premier Doug Ford was asked a question about the redevelopment of Ontario Place. $600 million we're spending to revitalize Ontario Place. And let me just say here, I happen to agree with the Premier.
Okay.
I think Ontario Place was underutilized. I think given its location on Toronto's waterfront, it could be a world-class destination. In the same way that Ripley's and the CN Tower make an amazing destination in Toronto, the Science Centre, or the Ontario Place with the Science Centre in it, and the spa, could be a very nice location. But there are still those who are firmly opposed to any redevelopment of Ontario Place. Yesterday, a question was asked of Premier Ford in the legislature about the cost of that. Here is Premier Ford talking about it.
Only here with a special interest, left-wing crazies, complain about a $600 million investment. I could go anywhere in the world, anywhere in the world, Madam Speaker, and say, we're closing down an old, antiquated Ontario Science Centre. We're going to spend $600 million, put it in a spot that people actually attend and go to, and make a destination second to none anywhere in the world. We're going to have more exhibit space. It's going to be modern. It's going to be up to date. And the place is going to be packed. And we won't have to subsidize it that we've been doing every single year by tens of millions of dollars.
Wow, it's fighting words, though.
I don't disagree with anything he said, but I might have a disagreement with how he said it. And I'll tell you why. I don't even disagree with what he said, but coming from the premier, that's a little offside.
Yeah.
If I say something like that as a commentator, that's totally different. There are very low expectations of me. From the premier calling the left wing the crazies, that might have been a little much. Ooh. Here that is again.
Only here with a special interest, left-wing crazies, complain about a $600 million investment.
In fairness, it's totally okay to complain about anything that costs $600 million.
Yes.
But he is right. There's a lot of obstructionism going on by the left. And I'm just going to call them the left, not the left crazies.
His choice of words. And he said it so passionately with such, confidence that he meant it. It wasn't like, oh, it just slipped out. No. That's what he meant to say. But
he's got to be a podcast listener. He must be.
He has to.
I think that the premier is probably on the right track. Redeveloping Ontario Place is essential. And if you are going to be elbows up and keep your vacation dollars in Canada this year, if you're coming to Toronto, you're not going to be able to go to the new Ontario Place yet. But soon you will be able to. And it's going to be an incredible location. For those who can't picture exactly where it is, right across from Hotel X in Toronto, right adjacent to the airport. It's beside Budweiser Stage. It's like a 10-minute drive, less than 10 minutes from Rogers Centre and Scotiabank Arena. It just completes the area nicely. It's going to have a beautiful waterfront. I think $600 million, we're going to recoup that money pretty quickly.
I mean, I support this more so than a tunnel. That's just my opinion.
Well, yeah. Hey,
to be honest with you, so.
Before I get to federal politics, we'll just put a bow on this provincial thing. I think Doug is absolutely right to redevelop Ontario Place. I also think, though, that he's got to get moving on Niagara Falls. Oh. The more we make Ontario into a destination that people want to visit, the better. Hey, we've got this Ontario Place thing happening. That'll be great when it's done. I'm sure it's going to attract a lot of tourists.
Of course.
Once we get Niagara Falls up and bumping, and I'm thinking Las Vegas North, we need a few more casinos. We need a few more concert venues. We need a few more restaurants. Otherwise, Niagara could be a real destination. It really could be the next Vegas.
It used to be like the top-notch place. I mean, celebrities from all over used to come and just honeymoon there. It was like the honeymoon capital. I mean, it's a little bit different now, but I think it could be exceptional, I should say, and make it a memorable destination. We grew up going to Niagara Falls. I love it.
Got to rip down some of those old hotels, though.
That's okay with me. They're outdated, and what is old, the new will come in and make it better.
Do you know how many butts have sat in some of those heart-shaped hot tubs down there?
I know I have.
It's gross, everyone. It is gross.
Yeah, no, those are fun times, though.
Bring some bleach if you're going to go get in the tub at one of those hotels. In any case,
oh gosh, yeah.
Niagara's got to be next, and then we got to do something for southwestern Ontario. We have so much waterfront property in this province. I think we got to get moving on it. I think Doug's on the right track. I just don't know that calling the people on the left crazies is going to make a difference. But maybe it will, because the left has been calling the right names for years.
And we're talking about it. So it's there. Even if it's for a clickbait, somebody's clicking on it and we're talking about it and it's getting the message out there.
What do we do with Ottawa, though? We've got the king and the queen in Ottawa right now. And yesterday, they did a couple of different things that we pre-planned for them before they arrived. Today, they get a horse-drawn carriage ride through the Capitol.
Woo, woo.
He'll read the speech at the House of Commons in the Senate chamber. Then they're going to go lay a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier and then be on their way.
Oh, yeah.
There's got to be more to do than that.
Well, you can't skate on the canal.
Not now, you can't.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
you couldn't even in the winter that long.
Yeah,
It seems like every year it's an issue lately. I'm just wondering because the king must hate his job at some times. He's got to come to Canada. Okay, all right, they're part of the Commonwealth. They asked me to come. I guess I'll come. What's on the agenda? What did they plan for us? Well, Your Majesty, you're going to drop a puck at a fake road hockey game. Then you're going to tour the farmer's market. Then you're going to go to a reception at Rideau Hall. You're going to plant a tree, and then you're going to disappear for the night. Have a nice dinner with the Prime Minister. I don't know if that sounds like a good trip to you, but if you tell me my 3 objectives are a farmer's market, plant a tree, and read a speech, that doesn't sound like a good time.
It sounds something like, they are older, so more age appropriate. Who knows? But still, yeah, I don't think when you think Canada, I don't think all of those things come to mind. I think there has to be more, especially in the capital.
Ottawa needs an amusement park. I'll just say it.
Oh my gosh,
there needs to be a
absolutely.
Canada's Wonderland there.
That would be a great spot.
I also think we need to move our current Canada's Wonderland down to Niagara Falls. Get it out of Vaughan. We could build a whole bunch of houses and infrastructure there. Get it out of
They're
where
running
it
out of
is.
space.
It's too busy. Move it to the falls as well. So that's my piece on redeveloping Ontario, Anna. What do you think?
I vote for you.
Thank you.
Always, you got my vote. I will be the best hype girl if you ever decide to do this, okay? My vote, it's you.
Here's a quick what you need to know. Gas prices have been holding steady at $1.35.9. Our Canadian dollar is still holding its own, 72.66 cents early this morning. On the calendar, we're celebrating National Grape Day, National Grape Popsicle Day, and National Sunscreen Day. The Lotto Max tonight, $10 million. By the way, I didn't mention this yesterday. Somebody in British Columbia won $40 million on Friday night's draw.
Oh, wow.
Those are those fly under the radar ones. Not everybody buys a ticket when it's only $40 million,
Yeah.
but $40 million's a lot of money.
Isn't that funny? Because we've reached almost 70, 80, and now it's like only 40. I'll take it.
I ain't buying a ticket for just $40 million.
Right?
Yeah,
I have
okay.
like $10 in my pocket.
Exactly. All right, so let me get to a couple other things here before I play some audio for you from the Prime Minister. Have you seen the video yet of Melanie Joly, formerly the Foreign Affairs Minister, currently in charge of innovation or something like that? Yesterday, she was in the House of Commons spinning something on her finger. I don't know. Does she have ADHD? She's got like a fidget spinner or something.
Maybe. Yeah, that would help calm the nerves.
Okay, so she's in the House of Commons, front bench, just one seat away from the Prime Minister. She was trying to get the Prime Minister's attention, and he wasn't listening to her. So she moved over a seat, so she was right beside Carney.
Oh.
Anna, I'm wondering because Justin Trudeau, even though he didn't usually exemplify it, used to claim that he was a feminist. Mark Carney has never claimed to be a feminist, but during the campaign and when he was running for leader of the Liberals, we certainly saw a number of encounters that he had with reporters where he speaks differently to females than he does to males. Yesterday, Melanie Joly slid over there, tried to talk to the PM. Number one, he didn't even look up at her.
Oh, I hate that.
He shooed her away.
No, and it was caught.
And it was all caught on video. The video briefly went viral yesterday because a lot of people saw it and thought, why is he being so dismissive of one of his senior women ministers? Is that the kind of guy he is? I don't know if he is or not. I'm trying to I don't know much about this man. None of us do. But he certainly gives off that vibe that he doesn't really have a lot of time for women.
To be honest, I really hope that's not the case. I really hope he was just caught up in a moment and there's a valid excuse, which I still don't think you should treat anybody regardless in that way. And especially having been a person who did interviews and I've seen that happen firsthand. It stays with you. It's disrespectful.
Is there a certain amount of misogyny in television? Because
Yes.
it seems like women get treated differently than men.
We do. And it's 2025 and I still see it and have experienced it. It's disgusting. It makes me crazy, actually.
Interesting. I do want to play a little bit of the Prime Minister. Yesterday, he's considered a rookie MP because this is the first time he has held office in Canada, elected anyway. So he had to get up and address the elephant in the room. He's the elephant.
Mr. Speaker, I have much to learn from the members of this great House. I will make mistakes. I have no doubt that you will call them out for good reason. Because this House has rules, it has traditions, and it's on those traditions that our Athenian democracy is founded. Very good.
Huh.
Yes, we are Athens. They are Rome.
Who's Rome?
On va triompher.
We're in the golden age of...
Okay, it goes into the French translation there. All in all, it was fine. Tomorrow is where the rubber meets the road. That's where Prime Minister Carney is actually going to have to start answering questions in the House of Commons. And the reason that there's a bit of a spotlight on it is because, number one, he's never had to do that. He's always advised the Prime Minister. This is the first time he is the Prime Minister, and this is the first time the House has sat since he became Prime Minister. So he's going to have to do question period. That means he's going to have to take direct, tough questions from the opposition parties. 2 of them anyway. He will not be taking questions from the NDP because yesterday he said the NDP will not get official party status.
Wow. And I'm curious, has he been practicing behind closed doors, like with people being like, here are some rapid fire questions just to get you into that mind frame?
I think that he's spent enough time answering reporters' questions over the last little while that he's comfortable.
You think?
I get
Okay.
the impression he is. I also want to say about the Prime Minister, yeah, I'm a conservative, and I know that a lot of conservatives listen to this podcast, but one of the things that I think would be a horrible tragedy is if we just let blind partisanship get in the way. And so far, I can say it seems like Prime Minister Carney is not doing a bad job. There's a couple of things that I certainly don't like. Not presenting a budget.
Oh, I know.
There's no excuse for that. He did sign Canada on to the World Health Organization's pandemic treaty. In other words, giving up some of our sovereignty if there's another pandemic. I don't like that either. But for the most part, he's conducted himself in a very professional way. Many on the left actually saying he's much more conservative than they thought they were voting for.
Interesting.
So, in the name of not being blindly partisan, I encourage everybody, especially conservatives. I know you don't like him. I know you wanted Pierre Poilievre to win. He didn't. I don't think. The Prime Minister is the Prime Minister, and I think we need to give him enough runway to do his job. Now, it's going to be a short runway because he's been in the Prime Minister now for a couple of months. He was PM before the election. Yeah. Now he's got to start delivering on his agenda. That means he's got to make the House of Commons work. He's 3 seats shy of a majority, technically 4 because the new Speaker of the House is a Liberal, and the Speaker does not vote unless it's to break a tie. So he's going to need to find 4 votes if he wants to pass his legislation. No reason to think the Bloc Québécois won't support him. In fact, I believe the Conservatives will also support him if it comes to things that make sense, like repealing the No New Pipelines law and cutting taxes. I think that that's a reasonable expectation that he's going to get full support in the House of Commons.
I just got to say, I feel like he's going to do his very best to be nothing like Trudeau.
It really
Honestly,
seems like...
that's like where that's the feeling I'm gathering. He wants to be his own entity. He does not want to be compared to the Trudeau timeline. He wants to start fresh, and this is the way he's going to start handling it.
Really interesting that you say that, because I get that vibe too. And it's weird because the whole 10 years that Justin Trudeau was Prime Minister, Mark Carney was involved in some way, shape, or form. He's always had the Prime Minister's ear, formally an advisor for a number of years. Mark Carney has been doing this for a while. And I thought he really liked Justin Trudeau, or it's possible that when he was running to become Prime Minister and had to go out across the country, he learned firsthand how much this country hated Justin Trudeau.
I agree. I think he took that, he ran with it, and he kind of just positioned himself enough. He didn't really talk about the Trudeau party and the different things that he had done. He just wanted to say, this is what I'm going to do. We're going to be very busy. The next couple weeks, very busy. Get ready. We're going to make things happen.
I love professionalism, and I strive to be professional in all that I do. Mark Carney seems to be the same way. He has some rules in place that I think some of his Justin Trudeau era members of parliament are not used to.
Yeah.
Things like meetings start on time. If it's a 9 a.m. meeting, you better be here, sit down, pens out, taking notes at 9. There is no room for tardiness.
Yep.
You must do your job and be accountable. And I get the impression the last 10 years, we've really been running on autopilot.
Yeah, it's been laxed.
No real decorum, no rules. If you can just show up to a cabinet meeting of a G7 country late with no excuse, like you're walking into a high school teaching room, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
And Carney has told them, you will be on time. You will act professional. This is just the way it is. I didn't expect to like the guy, but so far, that's a good common sense policy. You should be on time and ready to work.
Well, that's just it, and get things done. It's going to be different than what you knew before, but this will be a good different.
Now, on the other side of the coin, we have the opposition. The opposition, the leader of it currently, Andrew Scheer. Yeah. He's also the former leader of the opposition because he was the leader of the Conservatives and lost before Aaron O'Toole lost, and then Pierre Poilievre came in, and now Poilievre has lost, albeit temporarily, because he will get a seat after they hold a by-election in Alberta. So for now, Andrew Scheer needs to step back in. He had to address the House yesterday as well, even though it's not even really his job. Listen to this.
By fighting for both the York family and the Lancastrians. It didn't work out too well for him, though. He died at the Battle of Tewkesbury. But of course, he wasn't the last politician to try to be on both sides of a contentious issue. And I dare say we may find some Liberal MPs voting for things that they were very recently voting against.
I really like that choice of Andrew Scheer to be the acting leader of the opposition. They could have gone with Melissa Landsman, and Melissa is a very competent and capable member of Parliament as well from Thornhill. However, I think they kind of like the Batman and Robin deal that Pierre and Melissa do, and I think they want to save Melissa for when Pierre's in the House. So they've got Andrew Scheer now, a very personable gentleman. He is the youngest Speaker of the House in Canadian history. Then he went on to become Conservative Party leader. Again, he lost, but now he is stepping back into that role. I think he's going to do great. In fact, I think that when you have two leaders like Scheer, and Poilievre is still calling the shots. Let's be honest. Yes. Poilievre is there in the building. He just doesn't sit in his chair in the House of Commons because he doesn't have one currently, but he's still very much in charge. Andrew Scheer, competent, smart, personable, likable. He's going to do a good job filling in for Pierre. And I have a feeling that Prime Minister Carney is also going to do a good job. Yesterday, some people made hay out of the fact that Prime Minister Carney is going to get rid of a Justin Trudeau era policy. Do you remember this? Trudeau said when he got elected back in 2015, he wanted to hear questions from all corners of Canada. So he made a point when he was Prime Minister, to his credit, Wednesdays he would sit in the House of Commons, some Wednesdays, not all of them by any means. But he would go in on Wednesdays and he would take questions from any member of Parliament who wanted to ask him. Now, did some whatever MP from nowhere, Manitoba, ask him any questions? No, it never got to that. If the Prime Minister is going to answer a question, it'll probably come from the senior members of the party. But at least he did it. Carney is making no promises. He's going to go in, he'll do what he has to do, and then he wants to get out of there. You can tell he's very much interested in being in the office. Not really the whole parliamentary procedure thing here.
He's not looking to be your friend. He just wants to get the job done. He wants to be, I'm sure he wants to be liked, but he wants to be liked through the work that he does. That's my opinion. Yeah. So the throne speech goes today. This is where they're going to outline the government's agenda. We already know it because we just had an election campaign and they did nothing but talk about their agenda. So today it'll come from the king and he will say things like the government is going to move at record speed, or speeds not thought possible, or however it is he words it, to build more houses, cut taxes, and a few other things like that. All the good stuff we want to hear. Is it really going to make a difference? I saw a video yesterday about some of the modular homes that the government wants to build. Some of these, Anna, are like a bachelor apartment. I know. It's just, you're not fixing really the tiny problem. You're not fixing the problem. You're just adding more to the space that we could be utilizing if we really thought bigger picture. Well, I can tell from looking at the Toronto real estate numbers and the Vancouver real estate numbers, people are not interested in buying condos. No. You know, Anna, I it's too bad about the old podcast because I was talking about this in real time over the last 5 years or so about our housing crisis. And I remember when everybody realized
wow, we've got an immigration problem. We've got a housing problem. All these things are happening. And they doubled down. They're like, we're going to build. All they did was build condos.
I know.
And, I think we're at a point now, like I predicted about 3-4 years ago, that you could walk downtown Toronto, put down a down payment, and move in next week. That's how quickly you can get a condo because there's so many of them on the market.
Yep.
People have rejected condo living. They don't want to pay $600,000
plus fees
for 800 square feet. They want to own something.
Mm-hmm.
So now the government, to their credit, has recognized that. They've seen the condo numbers and thought, okay, we've got to build homes. They're not really building homes for families, though. These modular homes that they're going to build at like a wartime effort.
I know.
Some of them are real tiny, Anna.
Oh, yeah. They're trying to do the tiny home movement without saying that's what it is. And the price tag, I mean, it's still.
But what will the price tag be? How much is fair for that? And will you actually own the land? That's what I'm trying to understand. Because if they say, you know what, we're basically going to create a modern trailer park and you can go and you can get your little, 20 by 20 plot of land that'll have your little house on it. And it's about 600-700 square feet. 1 bedroom, a kitchen, a bathroom, a living area, and that's it. That's all you're going to get.
But that's going to sound appealing to somebody who has nothing.
Well, I mean, I think about my kids.
Yeah.
Mid-20s. They're never going to be able to afford the down payment on even a semi right now.
Which is wild.
So how much will these ones go for? Because if the price is right, I could see seniors moving into these. Not loving it, but I could see them doing it. But I could definitely see young people moving in just so they've got something of their own. But only if the price is right.
Mm-hmm.
Are they going to be charging like $500,000 for one of these? Or are we talking like $70,000, $80,000?
Oh, gosh. And it's never going to be 70, 80. I think we need to understand that right now because you can't even find a trailer for less than 100,000 right now.
Okay, but how much more could it possibly be for what you're getting? Because you're not getting a lot.
You're not getting a lot, but it's new. Right? So it's new. That's how they can position it. New amenities, like it could be state of the art, like lighting and this or that, controlled by your phone. That's how they're going to get you. So that's where you have to be aware, honestly.
I'm
telling you.
I feel like we're missing an opportunity here. There's young people that feel disenfranchised, like they've been priced out of the housing market.
Because we have.
It's hard to disagree because those damn boomers, right? They are so set in their ways.
They're not letting go.
Oh, my God.
They're not letting go.
They're not. And if young people want a shot at this, it seems like the only way it's going to happen is for the housing market to completely implode.
Which we're so close. It's right there.
It seems like
It's right there.
The amount of people talking recession right now is scary. The amount of people that are looking at a possible housing crisis, but the other way, where people just are defaulting on their mortgage left, right, and center.
What are you going to do?
That has the capacity to knock banks completely into insolvency.
We're seeing it, though. We're seeing it. And people just don't want to say it out loud. But the writing is on the wall. You cannot pretend that it is not happening. It is in front of our face.
I watch some pretty smart people that I follow on social media and on television. And a lot of them don't seem to want to say the obvious. Like you just said, it's coming.
It is.
There's no way to avoid it. If interest rates actually go up again next month, which is a possibility, it will be catastrophic.
Yeah.
And if we end up in a situation like that where the housing market collapses, the boomers basically voted for their own demise.
It's just, oh my gosh.
They wanted to hang on to that equity so bad that we may be in a real bad situation if the housing market crashes. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know if that's going to happen, but it certainly does look like things are getting crazy. So the only way young people are going to be able to get into the market is with these starter homes. And these starter homes, I don't think they're going to be very much. So they got to be cheap. If you can have a place that you can call your own and say, I own this, and I pay a mortgage on it that's paying off debt so that I can build equity, I think that's something young people could get behind. But they're not going to pay $300,000 for one of these.
Absolutely not.
They're not even going to pay $200,000 for one of these.
No.
It's got to be cheap.
Yeah.
Got to be cheap.
It's just wild to think. I remember buying my first home and it was I paid $179,000 for almost 2,000 square feet. And to think that I could never get something like that now, it's just mind blowing. And I feel so sad for others who are in that position.
I bought my first place in 1999.
Yeah.
It was in Oakville, Ontario. I paid $135,000 for a townhouse with 3 bedrooms, a finished basement, and more. $135,000. Now, the market started taking off after that.
Yeah.
Made some money when I sold it.
Smart.
Bought another house in Milton, which was just starting to boom.
Bro.
Sold that one and bought another one, and you keep going. But you usually have to start off at that entry level point.
But
and we don't have entry level
anymore. That's the thing.
They wanted it to be condos, and frankly, that's just not happening. So they've really got to stick the landing on this one, Anna.
They got to design and execute because a lot is riding on this, and people are watching, and it just takes one young person to be like, nope, and then it just starts going, and then here we are.
Let's move on to a couple other things. The politics aside, there are other things happening in the world, and part of the new Scott Fox After 9 is talking about more than just politics. So, Anna, I'm going to run down a couple of different things, and we'll start off with cars. EVs are dead, right? It seems like the market for electric vehicles is done.
I mean, I could never afford one, so it was dead to me.
Well, Nissan. Okay. Let's use Nissan as an example. Apparently, they've lost $4.5 billion for this fiscal year through March.
That's bad.
$4.5 billion.
That's real bad.
A lot of it has to do with EVs. There were these mandates that required people to buy an electric vehicle. Well, Donald Trump threw out the mandate in America. Many other countries are getting rid of theirs if they even had them in the first place. Canada's still got to deal with ours, but I think it's safe to say this EV battery market thing it was a failed experiment. It was a bad idea from the start. And without the mandates, people are not interested.
No, they're not. It's not attainable. And if you're going to spend that sort of money, I don't think you're going to put it towards a vehicle, to be honest.
This one might be interesting, though. Nissan is introducing what they call e-Power, new technology for a turnaround. It's a hybrid vehicle that you do not have to plug in. The hybrid comes this way. You've got your electric engine and you've got your gasoline engine. When you put gas in the car, the gas engine charges the battery.
So you'll get more mileage that way. So you don't have to constantly stop to refuel. It's a little 2-in-1.
It does not switch back and forth between the motor and the battery. It always runs off of battery, but the battery gets charged constantly because of the gas engine. So you could put $20 in your car, and this thing in theory could go for days.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Why didn't we do that sooner? Why did we get to a point where you had to plug in the battery when we had the ability to have the motor charge the battery? How is Nissan in 2025 the first company to do this?
Because others are going to lose out on money. You know, those who come to your homes and set up so you can plug in your car and all the different stations where you go and plug in your car. It's like a trickle effect. That's why.
I've wondered about the EVs for a while. I find it fascinating.
Yeah.
Buddy of mine's got a Tesla, and it's neat.
It is cool. They're nice and quiet.
I don't love it, but it's neat.
Yeah.
But I see him constantly thinking about where he's going to charge up, how long it's going to need to charge before he can drive. And it seems like a lot of planning goes into this.
Especially in the winter, which we have extended winters in Canada, and your battery goes very quick. So you have to make sure there is a station close by.
Quick thing here for anybody who's driving an electric vehicle. If you could just update me on a little detail. You save money on gas, obviously, because you plug it in and you drive off of hydro. However, to power a vehicle, it has to be a decent amount of hydro. How much has your hydro bill gone up, and how much are you actually saving now? If you're not using, say, $400 a month in gas, how much has your hydro bill gone up?
Ooh.
That's what I'm wondering. Is it $200 a month more and you're saving $200? Just give me the Coles notes on that, because I really do want to understand. I am not in any way opposed to getting a vehicle that has a lower footprint.
Of course.
However, I want practical, and I want it to work. And I don't want to have a $30,000 bill if the battery goes. All these sort of things are important to me. If I could get what Nissan is proposing here, it's a gas engine that does nothing but recharge the battery. I think that's the best of both worlds. It's a hybrid, but it's a hybrid that doesn't need to be plugged in. Yeah,
and then I just feel like overall you'd be saving money, and you know it off the bat. And saving money right now is key.
98% of the unionized Via Rail workers have voted to launch a strike next month, Anna. The union representing the rail workers says members belonging to the Unifor Council 4000 and Local 100 gave a 97.5% strike mandate.
Damn.
97.5% is
no
a
joke.
mandate, Mr. Carney. That's a mandate.
Yeah.
50-50 is not. Council 4000 represents mainly administrative workers, while Local 100 members include skilled trades and mechanical workers. The union alleges the company wants major concessions and has failed to meet monetary demands. So now we have another Crown corporation.
Not good. Not good.
Canada Post and Via Rail now,
Wow.
where the employees are very unhappy. And frankly, when I see this, it makes me wonder, is the problem maybe with management?
Yes. That is honestly my first thought. It's usually those right above who are not on the front lines figuring this out.
We know that government is so bad at running business. They're not good at it. They don't know how to do it. They don't understand it. And they've always got the cushion of the taxpayer dollar behind it. So they don't have to think like a creative business owner. If you own a business and it's your money on the line, you're going to be careful with your money.
Yeah, you're going to treat people well so they keep showing up.
These Crown corporations, they don't care. For Canada Post, it was nothing to scrap a country worth of vehicles and replace them all with green vehicles because it's not their money. Had that been a private business, you bet your butt that would have been a much slower integration
Absolutely.
of the electric vehicles, and there would have been a business case for it. It's not just virtue signaling. But that was Canada Post. Via Rail. They haven't asked for a bailout yet, but they might have to because Via Rail is not that competitive, and this should be a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. Hey, we've got train service that links the biggest cities in the country. Would you like to take it? Why wouldn't you take it? Do they just not market themselves enough?
You know what?
What is the problem with Via Rail?
They don't market themselves enough.
I never think of it when I have to travel.
Never, ever. And so when somebody's like, oh, I'm taking the train, I was like, oh, wow, yeah. It's like the last thought, and affordability and like the time constraints, everybody, that all comes into question.
I'm led to believe that if you take Via 1, which is it'd be like their business class.
Okay.
I'm led to believe that if you take the train from Toronto to Montreal, it's very similar to the cost of flying from Toronto to Montreal, except
hassle.
it takes 5 times longer. So why on earth would you set the price comparable to air travel if it's not actually giving you any clear advantage?
Well, they're trying to say, like, look at the surroundings. You're not getting that from the sky.
Well.
All the greenery. It's like, I'm cool, man. I can deal without it. Just give it to me cheaper, and then I'll jump on.
Well, there is something quaint about taking the train, no doubt.
For sure.
And you see places in Ontario and Quebec. Those are the main 2 places that Via serves, to be honest.
Yeah.
But you see parts of our provinces that you don't get to see any other way unless you happen to be driving on the tracks, which most people shouldn't do.
Never.
In this case, I can appreciate that the train is good, but if it's going to take 5 times longer and cost just as much as it costs to fly, I think you need to find a way to differentiate yourself and make yourself stand out. How has nobody at Via Rail said, we're going to have to lower the price of tickets to like $50? $50 Toronto to Montreal, you can do it. And fill the trains
And
as
it
opposed to
would.
half full trains that cost too much.
But it would, and it would actually allow families to get out and do things together if you have the cost that low. I mean, what an opportunity that you wouldn't get anywhere else.
Anna, there's a huge push to stay in Canada,
Right?
shop in Canada, travel in Canada,
And I love it.
staycation.
However,
It's got to be affordable, and frankly, that doesn't seem affordable to me if it costs just as much as a flight does.
You know what? And that could be the whole trip. If you're going with the whole family, if the cost is right, $50, you and the kids, that would be the trip. You're going to go and you're going to see Canada in this way and then come back. Like, done. What an adventure. But not if you're going to spend the same amount of money to take a flight. I would much rather take a flight, get there faster.
Walmart is apparently going to employ an army of robots to patrol their parking lot for security.
Oh, man.
We talked about security last week, and I actually had a number of people message about that episode. In fact, there's 2 things I want to mention on that. I said that you could get a DUI riding a bicycle.
Yeah, I thought so.
A police officer messaged me and he said, Scott, I love you, but I got to call you out when you say something that's not true. And I encourage that, by the way. If I give out the wrong information, that's not coming from a bad place.
No,
I want this to
humans.
be an informative podcast, but occasionally I do slip up. So, Scott, thank you for keeping me honest. He says, no, you can't. So I Googled it, and I found an article from a lawyer in Edmonton who says, yes, you can be charged with a DUI on a bike.
Okay.
I'm going to side with the cop on this one because the cop is the one who would have to deal with that encounter on the side of the road. But I will tell you, maybe this is a Mandela effect or something. I distinctly remember hearing stories about people getting DUIs on a bike. But the cop says, no, we don't do that.
I mean, it's a vehicle per se, and you're riding, on the
E-bike for sure. E-bike is a motorized one.
Yes, that's true.
But a regular bicycle that you're powering.
Yeah, propelling.
Exactly. So I appreciate that police officer who sent in that message. Thank you.
Just be cautious if riding a bike and drinking. There.
But we also talked about security. And there's a number of security people that messaged in and said, well, we are trained to deal with someone who's stealing. We are allowed to deal with someone who's stealing, but it's a corporate policy that we don't deal with people who are stealing.
I can't touch them.
In other words, the LCBO, Liquor Control Board of Ontario, everybody knows if you go in there and want to take something, nobody is going to stop you. They're paying someone to stand there at the front door with a security vest on. They're not going to do a damn thing to stop you. You can just walk right out. The most they're going to do is follow you and try and take a picture of you. And I don't even know what happps to that picture or if there's anybody looking for you afterwards.
Because it's not up on the wall when you walk in, look for this person, not allowed, right? So yeah.
Security is allowed to do it. It's the company that says no. Take the LCB out because that's another crown corporation. Let's go to a private business. Apparently Home Depot. Some of them have security and they're told do not engage with somebody who's stealing. Why is that? And I firmly believe that we need a stand your ground law in Ontario, much like Florida has. And for those who don't know what a stand your ground law is, it's simple. If you're at home and somebody tries to break into your home, you're allowed to use as much force as you need to protect your home. You can stand your ground. And if you've got a firearm in the house, shoot them.
Yep.
If you've got a baseball bat, clock them right over the head. You're allowed to stand your ground and defend what's yours.
Yep.
Business owners could be doing that. Are they just afraid of the lawsuit?
Well,
Has there been too many examples of criminals' rights being prioritized over business? I don't understand why these businesses are allowed to lose that much inventory and nobody seems to care.
It's because for some, you have to be absolutely 110% sure that you saw a theft. And people don't want to take that chance in case, maybe they got it wrong. Then you have a lawsuit. Maybe you put your hands on somebody. It was inappropriate. They felt a certain way. And then it escalates from there. And then you end up losing more than what you would have lost in terms of financial goods, I would say. But I mean, at that point, if someone's stealing, you're seeing it. It's on camera. It's right there. But you can't touch them. You can't touch them. You can call police, and then they have to handle it from there.
Listen, there's an opportunity here, and I'm going to point this out. After they're done in their careers in policing, police officers look for many different ways to make revenue. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they'll do private security. Sometimes they'll do any number of different things. I'm trying to think of a good example, like ex-copper, the legal services.
Yes. That's
Sometimes
what that is. Okay.
They'll open up a business trying to get you out of parking tickets and speeding tickets and stuff.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
If businesses could get out of their own way and actually stand up for their property and their employees and their inventory, I think it'd be a very lucrative business to hire a whole bunch of ex-cops and let them run the security.
I agree
Why
with
not?
you. And I think people are just so scared to go viral now for anything when it comes to businesses that would make them look bad.
But how backwards is this? The
it's
crazy
true, though,
part is
right?
the people walking in and thinking they can take whatever they want and leave. That's the bizarre part. Defending it should not be controversial.
So one of the things I see for small businesses, my friends own small businesses and retail shops anyways, they don't touch the people. They see that they've stolen. It's there on the camera, but then they post their video to social media and they zoom in on the person's face. Do you see this person? They shame them that way. But to me, like, that person's never going to go back. It's been done and on to the next story, because that's how quickly the cycle changes.
Yeah, I just really would like to see people have the right to defend themselves.
I'm with you on that. You take something that's mine that's not yours, like, I'm getting it back.
Stand your ground is a good law. It's not perfect. We could make some common sense changes to it, but we could bring it here. I don't see there being a political will for it, but I think amongst the common folk here, Anna, the middle class, I think there is a big desire for stand your ground.
Especially when we're on the cusp of a recession.
Yes. Oh,
Come
Anna,
on. Like, let's be serious.
This is what scares me. And I talked about this in the old pod too. When the economy is bad, crime spikes. And if you think crime is bad now,
you wait.
When people are desperate for food and when people are desperate for the basics of life, you watch how brazen it's going to get. And I don't want anybody to get hurt. And I certainly don't want to begrudge someone who's just trying to feed their family. Mm-hmm. But there are other ways to do it besides stealing from legitimate businesses. So I hope that we come up with a good compromise, and I hope the police are ready because it's coming.
We're seeing it already.
Yesterday, Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow announced the city of Toronto is allocating another $2.1 million to help festivals stay secure. The move comes after 11 people were killed in a vehicle ramming in Vancouver's Lapu Lapu Day Festival last month. Chow announced the renewal of a special events funding program at an event yesterday, where 150 festival organizers and security experts gathered to discuss safety. She says the city will also provide a $100,000 seed grant and technical assistance for festival organizers to create a nonprofit association that can promote their interests. So that's just a waste of money. We'll never see any result from that. There's no way to measure their success. We're just throwing away money to whoever's lucky enough to get that.
It sounds good.
Oh, it sounds good. It sounds like they're
great,
doing something. This is one of those pet projects where somebody's getting a big cut of money there, and it won't actually do anything. But now we have to invest another $2 million plus of taxpayer money just to keep festivals safe. How sad is that, Anna?
You just took the words right out of my mouth. It is so sad. Gone are the days of just being able to, the biggest worry. Oh, where's parking? What am I going to wear? Don't lose your friend at the event. It's so sad we're not there anymore.
I'd also like to know more, though, from Mayor Chow about how that money is being allocated, because not all festivals are the same.
No, and
is this being split equally? I.e., Taste of the Danforth gets $1 million and Pride gets $1 million, or are we just giving the vast majority of the money to Pride and a few other select festivals, and the ones that run every year incident free are just going to have to continue running with no extra money?
And those are the ones you have to worry about, because that's the one that happened. That casualty that was so terrible, took the lives of so many. It makes me so scared to go to a festival now. I got to be honest with you. It does.
I wouldn't go to one anyway. I think I'm not into the civic stuff.
Okay,
you're not interesting me with
Portuguese, we would always go to Portuguese festivals, and you're just out there and you don't think of it. You're just trying to celebrate and have a good time. And now I'm so much more cautious about what I'm seeing, what my surroundings are. It takes away from the fun.
The biggest problem we have with most of these festivals, and the reason we have to keep upping the money for security, is because nobody has looked at this through a common sense lens. They continuously put these things in high traffic areas.
You're right.
Taste of the Danforth, for the most part, relatively safe festival because they don't do it in the middle of downtown Toronto. It's out on the Danforth. Pride runs right down Yonge Street. That creates problems. And there's all kinds of examples like that. Anna, there's one more thing I'm going to do before we wrap things up, a lighter one, and I think that this is a great story. In America, they've got a chain of restaurants called the Olive Garden.
So good.
Do you actually like the Olive Garden?
I do, because it's affordable.
Yes.
That's why I like it.
It's very cheap.
It's not because it's the best pasta I've ever had. It's not. But it's a great price point.
If you just want to feel like a big bag of you-know-what after a meal, go to America and do the tour of Italy, where you get some penne, you get some lasagna, you get some garlic bread. It's
good.
A lot.
Yeah.
However, Olive Garden, dealing with a similar issue that Starbucks is dealing with. Starbucks, as you'll recall, tightened up the uniform regulations for their employees, and the employees didn't like it. Turns out that barista doesn't want anyone at corporate to tell them how to dress.
Oh my gosh. I don't mind a uniform, honestly. And if you're getting hired, it comes with the territory.
Yeah, for the most part. You don't have to wear a uniform, though.
But if somebody here said, okay, Anna, today you're going to wear, is it going to be bright yellow every day? At least I don't have to think about it. I throw it on, I go. I went to a high school that was uniform. It was better. Everybody's the same. You don't have to think about it, and you just get the job done.
Okay, well, Starbucks is, their union is dealing with it there, but Olive Garden's in a bit of a different scenario. See, they had a big meeting at Olive Garden headquarters, and you know how these things go.
Oh.
Somebody comes in, boss, hey, I got a great idea.
Tony, what is it?
Yeah. Tony, what are you talking about? What's the idea? So here's what we're going to do.
Yeah.
We're going to get everybody wearing the jeans and this shirt. It's a white shirt. Okay. It's a white button-down shirt.
Okay, crisp, yes. You got to flip the collar.
Now, maybe you're wondering, because my first instinct, whenever somebody comes in with a new idea, what could go wrong? Let's find the flaw in this idea. And I don't mean to be skeptical about anything, but I think we need to look for possible issues. And if I had been in the meeting, I would have said, hey, guys, bro, what the? It's a white shirt in an Italian restaurant. What are you doing?
You see, you sound so much like your partner is Italian, so you know firsthand the conversations and the tone.
Yeah, her brother's a funny guy.
See,
I learned a lot about accents from him.
There you go. But it's the truth. Like, if you know a white shirt, Italian food, sauce.
Everything has either got sauce or oil on it. Every
Everything.
single thing. And you thought white shirts were the way to go.
Terrible.
Servers are apparently switching to white shirts paired with Olive Garden aprons and blue jeans. Employees are unhappy with the stain-prone white tops, which customers have referred to as a sauce magnet.
Of course it is, and you can't get it out. It doesn't matter what you do, trust. It does not come out. And oil especially.
You'd think they'd go with like a red shirt, a black
Something
shirt.
to minimize.
They did have black shirts and they switched it to white in an Italian restaurant.
And black to me is just classic. Everybody has black in their wardrobe. Not so much white, but black, yes.
Tomorrow, I'll be talking about the whatever comes out of today with the king in Ottawa, not
Yes.
in England. With the king in Ottawa, he'll do the throne speech. Parliament is underway as of today. I'll have lots more to talk about politically tomorrow.
Hey, thanks for letting me stay the whole time. I had fun.
I thought you were going to be here for like 10 minutes.
I know, but I'm such a talker and I couldn't leave. Sorry about that.
It was great. Hey, again, listener DMs on Friday. I will answer many of the questions that came in yesterday about my friend and what happened for the rest of the weekend. Friends, have a great Tuesday, and I'll catch you right back here tomorrow.